Okay, the division of decimal by a two-digit decimal. Whenever you're dividing, the first number, no matter if it's a decimal or not, goes inside underneath. So I'm going to write down 0.972 divided by 7.2. However, here's the problem. You don't want the number on the outside to be a decimal, so you've literally got to move that decimal to the end and call it 72. We move that decimal past to the right one number. So inside you've got to move your decimal to the right one number. You have to do the same thing that you did on the outside, you have to do on the inside. So that means it's going to be, and at this point any zeros in the front you don't have to write down. So at this point the decimal is going to be between the 9 and the 7 because I moved it. So 9.72 is what I'm going to call it. So then you bring your decimal straight up and you start dividing. Well, 72 doesn't go into 9, but it does go into 97. So since it doesn't go into 9, you put a 0 here. 97 goes in one time. So you multiply. 1 times 72 is 72, and you subtract. So 7 take away 2 is 5. 9 take away 7 is 2. And you bring down your next number, 2. Okay. 72, it helps if you look at just the first numbers. 72 goes into 25 3 times. So I'm going to try a 3 out here. And then I'm going to try to multiply. 3 times 2 is 6. And 3 times 7 is 21. So that did work. Let me make this a little bit longer. Okay, then you subtract. So you can't do 6 from 2, so you got to take 1 away from the 5, call it a 4, and bring the 1 over. So 12 take away 6 is 6. 4 take away 1 is 3. 2 take away 2, those are gone. Then we don't have 0 here, so we're not finished. So we want to start adding a 0 to bring down. So if you're out of numbers to bring down, you need to start putting zeros until you get a final answer of 0. Now, 7 goes into 36 5 times. So then you do 5 times 2 is 10 and carry the 1. And 5 times 7 is 35 plus the 1 is 36. You subtract and you get 0. Now you're finished. So your answer is 135 thousandths. Okay, so here's what we did. The first number goes underneath, inside, 98.9. The next number goes outside, 0.86. However, that number cannot be a decimal, so you just literally move the decimal to the end and call it an 86. We moved it to the right 2 numbers, so you have to move this 2 numbers to the right. However, there's a hole here, so any holes get a 0. So my decimal is at the end now, so I don't really need it right now. So I'm going to call it 9890, and I'm going to start dividing. Okay, 86 goes into 98 one time. 1 times 86 is 86, and subtract. 8 take away 6 is 2. 9 take away 8 is 1. Bring down the 9. So remember, you're just looking at the first digits and the first 2 digits. So 8 goes into 12 one time. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 8 is 8. Subtract. 9 take away 6 is 3. 12 take away 8 is 4. Bring down the next number, 430. 8 goes into 43 5 times. 5 times 6 is 30. Write down the 0, carry the 3. 5 times 8 is 40, plus the 3 is 43. You subtract, get 0. Now you're done. And this answer came in evenly. It didn't have any decimal points in it. So 115 is the answer. So the next one, the first number goes inside, 84.1 divided by the outside, 5.8. But we want to move the decimal to the end and call it 58. So we move that decimal to the right one spot, so go and move your next decimal to the right inside one spot, And it's at the end again, so I'm just going to call this 841. Okay, 558, goes into 84 one time. 1 times 58 is 58. Subtract. You're going to have to borrow here. 14 take away 8 is 6. 7 take away 5 is 2. Bring down the 1. Now you're just working with the first number and the first two digits. So 5 goes into 26 5 times. 5 times 8 is 40. Write the 0. Carry the 4. 5 times 5 is 25 plus 4 is 29. That's too big. So we actually don't want a 5 there because of the fact that it was too large. So we actually need to change it, and it's good to not do this with an ink pen. You need to do it with a pencil for this reason. We got to change that 5 to a 4. So let's try the 4. 4 times 8 is 32. Write down the 2. Carry the 3. 4 times 5 is 20. Plus 3 is 23. Okay, now we can subtract it. Okay, subtract. You have to take 1 from the 6, call it a 5. 11 take away 2 is 9. 5 take away 3 is 2. And the 2's cancel each other out. So now we've got a situation where we don't have 0, which means we are not finished. However, we don't have any numbers left up top to bring down. So at this point, you put a decimal point and bring it above in your answer, and you start putting zeros to bring down. So I'm going to bring down a 0. Okay, so 5 goes into 29. Let's try 5 again. 5 times 8 is 40. Write the 0, carry the 4. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 4 is 29. And we have it. 290, take away 290 is 0. Once you get 0 after you subtracted, you are finished. So 14.5 is the answer.